With the economy picking up, there's more and more demand for oil and gas workers. And I'm going to be talking to Carol Howes, who's the VP of Communications for Energy Safety Canada and Petro LMI, about some of the challenges the industry is facing right now. So welcome to the interview, Carol.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here today.
So the Western Canada is looking at record oil and gas production right now. Employment is starting to recover from the pandemic lows. But I gather that not every sector is able to find as many employees as it needs.
No, in fact, what the sector that's is in most dire need now of workers actually is the services sector, and that's typical because the services sector is the first sector to rebound within the oil and gas industry. They're the drillers and the support services to start to restart drilling activity, and they're the ones who are seeing the lowest return rate for workers and the highest need for them. The other sectors like exploration and production, the pipeline sectors, they're not in as much demand right now. They're picking up production, but they don't need as many workers to return for that activity like we do in the services sector. And just to give you an example of kind of where we're at with the services sector, I have some data here which really speaks to it. Of course, the unemployment rate is a big determinant data source for really understanding where we're at with that. So in October 2021, we had an unemployment rate of 3.2% in the services sector in the industry. Now, balanced unemployment rate is about 6%. So you can see how much we've recovered, and also how many workers we have out there who are unemployed, which is very few. In fact, I think we had about 3,200, no, actually, sorry, 2,300 workers, energy services workers, who are actually looking for work, which is very, very low when you think about the sector across the country. That compares to an unemployment rate of 9.9% in March. So you can see that we've come a long way already over this year. And so also true of the job vacancy rate, like the measurement that Statistics Canada does around how many job vacancies there are. In the second quarter of 2021, in the services sector, we had a vacancy rate of 5.6%. That's the highest rate since 2015. It's also ahead of the national average of 4.6% for other industry sectors. So you can see where there's a lot of demand in the services sector right now because the economy's turned around, because oil and gas drilling has increased, and we are in short supply of workers.
Carol, are these job vacancies in the urban centers, like say Calgary or Edmonton, or are they more out in the small towns and the rural areas?
Well, it'd be fair to say that's where the drilling activity is occurring. Having said that, a lot of the service sector companies draw on workers from some of the urban centers and bring them out to the field. So it's really a bit of both. And what we're seeing is the shortages across provinces, but particularly obviously in Alberta and BC, but it's certainly across the province. So it really depends on where the activity is happening.
Now, I've been reading some stories recently about the international industry having trouble attracting younger workers and younger professionals into oil and gas. Are we seeing the same thing in Canada?
We are. Unfortunately, there's a number of factors there. We certainly had a long economic decline in activity over the last 6 years. It's been a tough 6 years for the industry, and it's certainly discouraged a lot of young people from coming into the sector. So they've gone off to do other things, especially if they're studying, gone off to other sectors of the industry and gone off to other industries. Also, we are seeing workers leave the industry and not coming back. And so it's a combination of both of those, but young people are really feeling a desire to work in industries where their values can be reflected. There's certainly a lot of interest in the environment. What's interestingly enough is a lot of these job opportunities are in the traditional oil and gas industry, but young people aren't aware of that. Part of it is educating them to understand that there's a lot of clean tech, environmental jobs within the oil and gas industry as well. And we're really moving very quickly through the energy transition towards cleaner fuels.
Well, Carol, thank you very much for this. I always appreciate your insights.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.